One, who's going to have the most wealth? The family of five or the family of one? One person working on it for 1 year or five people that have been working for 50 years? That explains wealth in America. The difference between wealthy families and unwealthy families is typically based on two things, at least two factors: how many teammates you have and how long you've been doing it. The richest families in the world are families where they have a large number of people that have been building wealth for a long time. Their wealth rectangle is massive because they have a lot of people that have been working toward the same goal for 100 years, 50 years, 3, 4 generations. A lot of our families in the black community, because they work so hard to destroy your families, are one person grinding their butt off for 2 years because they saw a rapper or a basketball player get a make a lot of money really fast, so they think that wealth is a fast thing. They think fast money is normal money, and fast money ain't normal money. So you come to me and you say, hey, Dr. Boyce, I've been working my butt off on my business for the last year and a half, last 2 years, and I still don't have any wealth. Well, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. I'm not saying that you failed. I'm saying that you haven't, maybe you don't understand what wealth is. Wealth is, for the most part, it's not so much a reflection of, how much talent you have or how hard you're working at the moment. Wealth is a cumulative process. It's how much you've accumulated and have you protected your accumulation. So if you have five people working on the same goal and they've been accumulating for a long period of time, they're gonna probably have more than a person who's been doing it by themselves for 3 or 4 years. It's very hard. Or think about it like digging a ditch. If one person is digging a hole for a day, they're gonna dig pretty deep. But if five people have been digging consistently for the last 80 days, well, that hole's gonna be massive, right? So when you think about wealth, what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself two basic questions all the time when you're looking at how much money you have and how many assets you have. Two questions: do I have teammates, and how do I get more? Your teammates, you can get teammates in a few different ways. Teammates come in the form of maybe children. If you have children that you raise properly, a lot family wealth is very, very big in America. A lot of families are rich because they raise the kids to contribute to the family empire. You can build wealth that through marriage, the right partner who's bringing something to the table or can help you bring more to the table together. You can contribute to wealth by working with the people that are already in your family that you trust. You can add to your wealth by finding new relatives, finding new people that you don't even know yet, who are maybe on the same page as you, who can work together. So what I was telling you all earlier, I didn't mention to you actually, at the All Black National Convention, my wife did speed dating because she's a relationship person. She's into love and relationships and all that. And so we did speed dating because we figured we'd want to help some of the young people that are in this crazy, stupid cesspool of dating, and they're trying to actually construct something and help them get together. Well, they got together, and there's a lady named Keisha Ravenel. She has a great brand called the We Inspire brand, and she went to speed dating. She met a guy who just now proposed to her. Well, when I see that, I'm not just seeing two people that hooked up. I'm seeing the beginnings of what could become a family empire. I'm seeing this idea that she's bringing something to the table, he's bringing something to the table, and then also their wealth rectangle has increased in size because they each now have a solid teammate they can build with. And so if they're building for the next 20 or 30 years, they're probably not going to be poor. They're going to, maybe they'll go off and have 2 or 3 kids together. They'll raise their kids in the same culture that they believe in. So when, in 20 years, the We Inspire brand will have grown because, Keisha and her husband will be working. Jedediah is his name. They will have built up their economic empire. But then the children step in and say, Daddy, what can I do? Mom, hey, I want to work with my mom. Hey, can I be the CEO when you and Dad retire? Right? Next thing you know, in the year 2050, 2060, you have a family sitting on $100 million, right? That's where wealth comes from, and I want you to just really understand, visualize that when you're thinking about where you are economically. All right, so I'm gonna answer a few more of your questions, and then I'll answer some that are in the Q&A section. And actually, crap. You know what? And I got a meeting in 5 minutes, and so I gotta be quick here. So let's see here. Danette says, hey, Dr. Boyce, on one of your older recordings, someone asked about life insurance, and you mentioned you prefer term. You often mention that Black people need to own things. Have you changed your stance on life insurance since term is like renting and permanent cash value is like owning? Why or why not? I haven't really changed my opinion in the sense that remember I was telling you about investing, Danette. It's about just knowing what it is. So I know that term is kind of like, you're right. It is kind of like renting. You know, they can take it away from you after a certain amount of time. It only lasts for a term. But remember, the cash value life insurance, the whole life policies and all the other stuff, you're not getting something for nothing. They're going to charge you more because they're going to give you more. And so what's happened, what one strategy, one thing that a financial expert might say is that if you get term, and you keep that extra money, if you're investing that extra money on your own, you're not necessarily losing, because what you might lose on the life insurance side, you're gaining on the investment side because you're putting that money to work in the stock market. Now, the benefit of things like index universal life or whole life policies is that they kind of invest for you, right? They're taking your money. The reason that they're paying you this money and allowing your money to grow in index universal life is because they're basically taking the money and investing the extra cash the same way you could have invested your own extra cash, right? So to some extent, some would argue it could be a zero-sum game. I'm not saying that you should pick one over the other. Again, it's like a preference thing. It's a matter of saying what pathway is most convenient for me based on what I'm trying to do. So, index universal life, I think, is really good for people that have a hard time saving, because you get this policy and all you do is you're paying the policy every month. And it's a little bit like paying a mortgage. Every month you're accumulating this cash value. It gives you financial security. It's money you can borrow against, money you can withdraw, all these things. I think all that's great. So the question is, in the wealth accumulation process, as I was mentioning to you guys earlier, wealth is an accumulation process. So the question I want to ask you today, and I want you to carry this away with you, is what are you accumulating? And what space in your life are you pouring into something every day that is going to accumulate into something bigger, right? You're used to doing that with family, right? Every day as a mom or a father, you're pouring into your kids, and that accumulates into a lifetime of love and loyalty that they're going to have for you when you get older, because you poured into that. Every day maybe you're pouring into your health because you're getting up and you're going running every day and you're eating right, right? Maybe you're pouring into your knowledge, right? You're sitting here and we're talking about economics. Well, you're pouring into your knowledge base. You're going to be smarter than everyone else because you're pouring into that, right? Congratulations. Good. That's exactly what you're supposed to do, right? So economically, what are you pouring into that's going to give you long-term value? So an index universal life policy could be like that. Your savings account could be like that, although I don't recommend it because inflation is so high, it's eating away at your money. Your consistent $5 a day in the stock market could be your accumulation process. Your mortgage is your accumulation process. Every time I pay my mortgage, I own a little bit more equity, right? So figure out what your accumulation process is. I think that's the biggest goal. All right, next question is from Fabian. Fabian says, I'm already invested in the stock market, but not sure if how to properly invest. I use Charles Schwab to manage my portfolio. How do I find company protections to make better decisions when choosing companies to invest? Well, I think if you're using a company like Charles Schwab, the benefit of something like that, as long as the fees aren't that bad, and I don't think Schwab overcharges or anything, is you don't have to think about it, and they are pretty good at picking solid companies long term. Because of the liability, they're not going to do anything crazy with your money, and it does help. Like if you're just like, okay, look, I'm just going to throw my check over there and let them kind of manage it. I think that's okay as long as you understand what they're doing with your money and you're asking questions so you can make sure you know what you're invested in. And to some extent, it can create financial discipline. Like I had a thing with Merrill Lynch, and I noticed that Merrill Lynch, it kind of made me mad, but I was actually glad it happened. They made it really hard for me to withdraw the money. Like if when I wanted to get the money, I had to fill out a form and make another call and do this and do that. And I didn't like it, but actually long term I did, because what happened was that because it was so hard for me to get that money, I left it there and I didn't mess with it, right? And remember, I told you the best portfolio is typically a portfolio where you're not poking at it every day, like those chicken pox. Remember, you used to scratch them and it would make it worse, right? Some itches you're not supposed to scratch. You're supposed to just kind of let it sit there, and then you do better by allowing it to sit than by constantly moving and shaking and buying and selling all the time, right? So I think the Charles Schwab management, I don't see anything wrong with it, but it's really up to you. It's a personal decision. All right, a couple more questions. I got this. dang meeting at noon, so I got to run out of here, guys. And by the way, if you want to leave another question for me for next week, just go to log in at theblackstockmarketprogram.com. That's why you're here, because you're enrolled in the class. So you can go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com, leave your question. I will answer it first when we start class next week. Victor says, I started investing when the pandemic started. I invested most of my money in Moderna and currently have an average cost of $95. What are your thoughts on Moderna? Yeah, I think that's very risky. The fact that you put almost all your money in Moderna. Don't do that, Victor. Never put the majority of your money in any one company. I don't care how good that company is. You shouldn't even put the majority of your money in one sector. Like, if you love tech stocks and you got all your money in tech, well, when tech goes down, you go down too. Don't do it. Make sure you spread your money out. Your money needs to be everywhere. You have to maybe get some money in real estate, get some money in crypto, get a little bit of money in stocks, invest in different kinds of stocks, American stocks, foreign stocks, mutual funds. Like, spread your money out. You don't put your money in one place. Never, never, never do that. And a lot of people did that during the pandemic. It gave them a false sense of security, and a lot of those people got hammered because of it. So don't let that happen to you. All right, so Terrence, are there any film companies like Lionsgate or Universal worth buying stocks for in the long term? Well, you know what, Terrence? I looked up some film companies for you, and some of the ones I liked and some of them I didn't like. Let me see. I was looking at publicly traded film companies. AMC came up. I do not like AMC. Disney came up. I love Disney. Viacom came up. I do not like Viacom. So I feel like Disney, in my view, is probably one of the strongest. 21st Century Fox is out there. I don't know much about that stock in particular, but I know it's a solid company. And then there's some others out there like Cinemark and stuff like that. I'm not real interested in investing in companies that have like these theaters that people have to go to, because I feel like people are going to be scared of germs forever, and I think that's going to hurt movie theaters for a long time. So I like Disney because Disney is a film company, but they're more than a film company. Disney's got a lot of levers they can pull to make money, and I think if Disney stock, when it gets hammered, it's a good buying opportunity. So I look forward to seeing what Disney stock looks like after all the froth from the market from last year kind of clears away and the prices go back to normal. All right, so Terrence says, are you familiar with or can you recommend anyone that can point me to Black-owned tax services for individual and business taxes at affordable rates? You know what? I know about the McGee Limited in Chicago, run by Roosevelt McGee. I also have worked with Rebecca Rebecca Samuels at Pythagoras LLC, but I don't know if they're full of clients. There are some other companies out there though too. So maybe in the chat, if you guys know of any Black-owned tax services, feel free to put it in there. But those are the two that I've worked with. Last question. Dabo Wise says, game plan needed. I have $1,000 a month that I'd like to allocate specifically to my stocks and crypto investments. How and where should I start? And should I consider allocating based on percentages, 70% stock, 30% crypto, etc.? Yeah, I think percentages would be a good way to go, Dabo. I would not do 30% crypto, though, because crypto's too volatile. Crypto's kind of crazy. You can lose a lot of money in crypto very quickly. So I don't put more than 10% of my portfolio in crypto. And I think when it comes to stocks, I think maybe you have, it depends on your flavor and your taste. But I've seen people that say, I want a little spice in my portfolio, so maybe I'll get a couple of these growth stocks. But then I also want some stability, so I'm going to invest in some of these solid companies that know how to make money, that've been making money for decades, like a Coca-Cola or a Procter and Gamble or a Disney, right? Or a Google. Google, my guy, Google knows how to make money like nobody's business. So some of these companies, so I would just kind of sort of balance it out. And I think having all your money in stocks or all your money in crypto is not a good idea. If you can get some money in real estate, I think that works. Maybe through a real estate investment trust, or through or maybe through the direct ownership of property, that type of thing. So that can kind of help. Now, see, some of you put your question in the chat. If your question's in the chat, Pauline, I don't typically see a lot of questions in the the chat has so much stuff in there. So the Q&A section is where you put your question. But actually, Pauline, since we have to end class now, put your question, log in at theblackstockmarketprogram.com. At the top of the curriculum section, there's a link that says, ask Dr. Boyce a question. So what you do is you hit that link and it takes you to a form where you put your question in there. And I promise you, Pauline, for next week's class, I will answer your question first. In fact, I will look for your name. If you asked a question last night, it might have been during a during a podcast or something. The podcast, I don't have time to answer all the questions. And also remember, my students, I treat my students differently than the way I talk to the general public, to be honest with you, because I know you guys are supporting the Black Business School. So I give you something different from what I give the rest of the world. And I'm not ashamed to say that. You guys are special to me because you're supporting us. So we're going to support you. That's why when you put a question there, you ask me about a stock, I will Google and research that stock and give you my perspective on that stock. Or your cousin's liquor store you want to invest in, you're not sure about it, you can put that information in there, and I will give you my 2 cents on it. So that's something special I do for students that I can't do for everybody, because I have a million people that follow me, and I can't do that for every single person, but I can certainly do that for you because you're supporting us. So we want to support you, and I want to remind you also that we have a really great support team in the Black Business School. They are always on standby, always on standby, always on standby every second of the day, waiting for you to send them an email if you have any questions or any concerns whatsoever. Their goal is to make you happy. So if you have any issues at all, just write this email down. Somebody type it in the chat so everybody can have it. And then we're going to be done with class for the day. It's support@theblackbusinessschool.com. That's support at the THE. Don't forget the THE. We are the Black Business School, not a Black Business School. We are the Black Business School. Support@theblackbusinessschool.com. You email them. They will answer your question. If you're trying to get in touch with me or get in touch with my business manager or something, you can do that. Also, don't forget, if you have, sometimes people have a business idea they want to pitch to me, or they want me to talk to them in more detail, like, sort of in depth, like face to face. We also have level up conversations, and but only 8 people come into that room because I need to be able to focus on a much smaller group of people. So if you're interested in a level up conversation, you can actually, I think on BoyceWatkins.com, you can check to see if there's space available for the one that we're going to do this week. I think we might be filled up, but we may have space. So if you're interested, feel free to go to BoyceWatkins.com, or you can email support@theblackbusinessschool.com. They can send you to the next level up. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. Have a good day. I'll see you next week. I hope this session was helpful for you, and good luck, and I hope you make $1 trillion. So I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.